Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, we have approval of the agenda. Is there a motion?
You can move to approve the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. And the agenda has been approved. Before us now is approval of the minutes of the work session and workshop meetings of January 11th, 2022. Is there a motion?
I can move to approve the workshop and work session meeting notes of January 11, 2022.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. And the motion to approve our minutes of January 11, 2022 has been approved. That brings us to the public participation portion of our agenda. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board regarding agenda items or other matters of concern. We did have 3 individuals request time with the board tonight, and I will call each of them individually. And those, you'll have 5 minutes to address the board. First up is Amy Foster. Are you here, Amy? Yes. Thank you.
Amy Foster, North 28th Street, Council Bluffs. Would you like me to
Go.
tell the timer?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So tonight I stand before this board and the general public, and I call for a move of parents to really, really involve themselves in what's going on in our children's education. As we all know, the new SEL, Social Emotional Learning Program, has been rolled out in the district. Many parents received surveys of what their child's thoughts and feelings were prior to, they'll receive this test twice a year, so in the fall and in the spring. In reviewing my daughter's survey, there is a section called Social Perspective Taking. Students with strong social perspective taking try to understand their teacher's thoughts and feelings. The feedback I got based on my daughter's score to talk with her further at home. When you are frustrated by something your teacher does, put yourself in their shoes. Ask yourself, if I had a teacher's job, Thank you. If I had my teacher's job, what would I be feeling or thinking? Now, based on her score, I was curious of what questions were asked of my 12-year-old 7th grader. The section that correlates to this section of the survey: how hard do you understand your teacher's point of view? In questioning with Miss Carrie Zimmer and Mr. Tim Hamilton today, I really was concerned with the verbiage point of view, as I assume many 11, 12, 13, and 14-year-olds would be. The example I was given by Mr. Hamilton is, well, point of view could be as simple as asking a student to take their seat, which doesn't really correlate to the question. Question 36, during class, how hard do you try and understand your teacher's feelings? Question 37, overall, how much effort do you put into figure out what your teachers are thinking? 38, how much effort are you putting into figuring out what your teacher's goals are? 39, how do you try and understand your teacher's motivation for different activities in class? And question 40, when your teacher seems to be in a worse mood than usual, how hard do you try to understand the reasons why? I'm going to assume that many parents are alarmed at hearing those survey questions, as I was. My 12-year-old daughter is not capable of stopping and asking herself how an adult thinks and feels based on their personal perspective and points of view. And in my personal opinion, it has no place taking up classroom time that could be dedicated to improving MAP testing scores and in general education. I met with Mr. Hamilton and Miss Zimmerman today. I was able to view one video today called, I believe it's Soloists and Symphonies. This content that I viewed today dances very, very closely with something that is sweeping our nation, which is critical race theory. The teachers lead the discussion, followed by a video, and the discussion is led by the teacher's perspective and point of view. So now my child is being subjected to understanding adult's personal perspective on the content in which they are viewing. There's two parts of this curriculum that are being wastefully used, or not used, excuse me. There's called a challenge activity, and I was told that due to the challenge activity is too time-consuming, and then the use of handouts, which is a consumption of paper. So not only are we just allowing whatever point of view to be expressed to anybody, but we are also not utilizing the curriculum that was paid for by this district. Educators, some of them were educated over this summer, and many of them just go over how to do the program during personal development. This is not in correlation with a separate curriculum with a guidance counseling session, classroom activity in the Move This World program, which is for the elementary. So I'm just urging parents, be aware of what your child is being taught. Ask to view the content, ask to see the handouts, ask what qualifications the teacher has to teach this program. My child, I am proud to say, has been removed from this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Ben Johnson. Are you here, Ben? Thank you.
Thank you. I have a statement that I wrote and a statement that I've been asked to read on behalf of a gentleman who couldn't be here, so I'm going to start with his statement, if that's okay. Which reads, I'm Ray DeWally. I taught English and special education in the Council Bluffs Public Schools for 5 years and special education in the Omaha Public Schools for 40 years and currently substitute teach at Benson High School. My wife, Amy Yoakum, helps teach a remedial reading program during professional development days now with Bloomer students. In looking at the current Council Bluffs schools, 13 are named after men. The ones that no longer exist were named after, you guessed it, men. In education, we pursue essential questions. In this case, what would Dexter do? Given that he considered Amelia, and we're talking about the Bloomers, sorry, I should have prefaced this and read this statement ahead of time. This is somebody who is supporting that Amelia Bloomer's name be added to Bloomer Elementary School, so apologies. Given that he considered Amelia as at least his equal in all things and helped her advocate the cause of equality for women, we would both suggest that Amelia's name should be added to the school along with Dexter's. We don't think Dexter would have it any other way. And so I am also here to support changing the name of Bloomer Elementary to be Amelia and Dexter Bloomer Elementary. It's hard to overstate how instrumental Amelia Bloomer was to securing the rights for women to vote. As a member of this community and a parent with 2 children in the district, I feel it's important to honor Amelia's legacy by officially adding her name to the school. Children in the school district will learn about Amelia, see her name and historical marker, and think, if one person from my town could enfranchise millions, maybe I can make a difference too. I believe, and this is one person's opinion, but in 2022, that Amelia's fight for the right to vote for women is more relevant than ever. We've seen efforts at voter suppression. We've seen efforts to ban books about feminism and civil rights in our schools. And so for those who would wish to erase Amelia's history, I think this is a great step to ensuring that her story will live on. And her story is one of a woman who has dedicated her life to a cause and endured unimaginable harassment in her fight for abolition, temperance, and suffrage. And I think that this struggle will resonate with students and encourage them to consider how far we've come as a nation and how far we have to go, and how their rights shouldn't be wasted or taken for granted. Because the reality is that when young girls graduate from this district, they can expect to be paid less than their male peers, and our students of color can expect to see disparities in education and political representation. But when children and others in the district see Amelia's marker and read her story, they will learn about a woman who saw the systemic injustice of her time and refused to accept it. So in conclusion, Amelia and Dexter Bloomer had an immense impact on the community of Council Bluffs, and Bloomer Elementary will become the only school in the district named after a woman, and I can think of no better way to honor her legacy. Thank you.
Thank you. And the school board will be taking action on that renaming of the school later on in the agenda. Next is Linda Cannell here.
Linda, can you spell your last name?
Yes, my last name is spelled Knell, and it's pronounced Cannell, but I'll answer to now. It's all right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hello, my name is Linda Cannell. I'm a community volunteer, and I have researched both Mr. and Mrs. Bloomer. I am in favor of changing the school name to Amelia and Dexter Bloomer Elementary for several reasons. One, adding Amelia's name does not diminish Dexter's contributions to both Council Bluffs Community School District or the City of Council Bluffs, nor does it detract from the reasons that the school was named for Dexter in the first place. Having both names on the school acknowledges their accomplishments as a married couple within our community, and it creates a shared legacy. Together, they broke social barriers. They were both notable early citizens, strong, lifelong partners who complemented each other while supporting their individual careers and causes. 2, Amelia should be recognized locally for her lifetime achievements. She lived here for 39 years. Her name is known nationally and internationally. She has been inducted into the Iowa and the National Women's Halls of Fame. Yet there is no monument or memorial dedicated to Amelia in Council Bluffs. The Bloomers' gravesite only has a brief commemorative text. 3, many Council Bluffs residents actually believe that Bloomers School was named for Amelia. And we hear that all the time. You have the opportunity to include her name now, and I'm asking you to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That concludes our public participation and brings us to the superintendent's report. Dr. Murillo.
Thank you, Mr. LaFrola. At this time, I'd like to invite Ms. Ostrowski to the podium. We are going to celebrate students and some incredible staff members tonight. So, Ms. Ostrowski, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Dr. Murillo. And hello, everyone. I think we'll start with students tonight. Dr. Murillo, would you join me at the podium? Okay, thank you. Okay. Let me introduce you to 5 outstanding student athletes who represented our Council Bluffs girls swim team at the Iowa State swim meet in November. What makes our swim team unique is the camaraderie of students from several area school districts. This combined team has certainly been impressive, especially here tonight and under the coaching of Mr. Logan Maxwell. We are celebrating them tonight for their accomplishments at state 2 years in a row. In 2020, 4 of these girls earned a place at state in the freestyle relay. That year marked the first state appearance, Coach says, for our swim team in 14 years.
Wow.
Right?
That's great.
They made a repeat appearance this year in the medley relay, where they placed 28th and also earned some individual honors. I will call each of you individually so that you may come forward to receive your star recognition from Dr. Murillo, our superintendent. First of all, Claire Crilly from Underwood. Claire was a 2020 freestyle relay member and a 2021 medley relay, and so she gets 2 stars. Forgot to tell you that. Lillian Lefebvre from Woodbine is a 2021 medley relay participant. Aurora Miller from Harlan is a 2020 400 freestyle relay, the 2021 medley relay, and she also earned 25th place in the individual 100 breaststroke. And we didn't have the order for that. And Jocelyn Miller from Abraham Lincoln High School. Jocelyn is a 2020 400 freestyle relay and 2021 medley relay participant. And Elena Verchodicki is a 2020 400 freestyle relay, 2021 medley relay, and also earned 24th in the individual 100 freestyle, and she's from Harlan. Congratulations. Yes. Time for a photo.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, all right. Congratulations. Yes.
You know, when I got here, we really didn't have a strong swim program. And I'm so proud of our swim program. It's a great thing for us to have. And I love that the state lets us combine and lets other districts join us when they don't have enough to make a team. That's fabulous. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just filling in time.
Well, I didn't want him to sneak out without a photo, so,
Okay.
all right.
Good.
All right, we are here tonight to celebrate our November Employees of the Month. And we want to thank the Council Bluffs Schools Foundation for sponsoring not only our student recognition program, but also our employee recognition program. They're tremendous partners in making this happen and a great way to celebrate the accomplishments of everyone. Okay, our support staff member of the month is Haley Hires, a paraeducator at Longfellow Elementary. Haley, join Dr. Murillo. And she has a fan club here. Yeah. We're going to share a little bit about why you were nominated. Okay, Haley? Haley has the wonderful ability to help students express themselves as individuals and to celebrate their uniqueness. One can see this displayed on a daily basis as she interacted with the students throughout the school. As she interacts with throughout the school. You can tell that working with children is her true calling. Haley wears many hats at Longfellow. While she has recently switched from library clerk to paraeducator and also serves as our social media manager, she updates Longfellow's Facebook page to promote our school and all the students. She comes to work early in the morning and usually is with lots of students as she sponsors that 21st Century Breakfast Club. They started the club by doing painting in the morning, and she read to them while they worked. Now the club is working, and I've seen this in action, to keep the school grounds clean and take care of the recycle bins on Wednesdays. Haley is always willing to take on new tasks and help others when she sees a need. She has built great relationships with students and is always there for them when they need someone. Haley's contributions to Longfellow Elementary are noticed and truly appreciated. Congratulations. She snuck in. And she's joined tonight by Ms. Brittany Hedrick, the principal, and the Sam, Lynette Peterson. Taking credit. Okay. And now for our licensed staff member of the month for November is Louis Elbert, special education teacher at Hoover Elementary School. And he is joined tonight by Principal Mrs. Amy Anderson. So we're going to read a little bit about you, Louis. Mr. Elbert is the definition of what it means to model the Hoover way. He is one of the hardest working educators who displays immense amounts of patience while working with students. These are just some of the comments shared about Louis by his coworkers. I am thankful to have Louis as a teammate. He is always willing to help and share materials that he has taken the time to make. Louis is an awesome go-to person if I have questions about technology, writing IEPs, or reading math interventions. Louis is a calm presence, a good listener, and treats others with respect. He builds positive relationships with others and can brighten someone's day with his sense of humor. Overall, Louis is an outstanding asset to the Hoover community. He is an ultimate professional in his interactions with students, parents, and school staff, and builds meaningful relationships. Congratulations, Louis. And while I still have the podium, if I may, you may notice that several of us tonight are sporting gold and black. Those are the colors of the University of Iowa, where our Abraham Lincoln High School student and standout athlete, Josh Dix, has committed to play basketball next year. You may know that he suffered a serious leg injury at a meeting or at a game on Friday, and we are all thinking about him and his family and just showing our support as a school community. So go Josh, go the Dix family, and go Iowa Hawkeyes.
Okay. Some of us are sporting the gold and black more casually than others. They've all left, but I do want to recognize our hardworking students and staff for all that they do. Next up is the resolutions portion of our agenda. We have several this evening. First is acceptance of the 2020-2021 audit report. Is there a motion?
I move that we accept the District 2021 audit report as presented on the December 14th, 2021 meeting.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Troy, did you have anything? Okay. Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Kazire,
Yes.
Ms. Myers,
Yes.
Mr. Peters,
Yes.
Ms. Shudak,
Yes.
Mr. Arthur,
Yes.
and Mr. LaFurla.
Yes, the motion carries. Before us now is a request for Sbrc spending authority for the 2022-23 Dropout Prevention Program. Is there a motion?
I can move to request the SBRC for $3,156,387 of modified allowable growth for the Dropout Prevention Program and at-risk services for the 2022-2023 school year as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Maybe, Mr. Wilson, if you might just explain this for the public?
Sure. So every year, the state will allow school districts spending authority for dropout prevention based upon the number of enrolled students times a factor. And we do this every year. So what they will do is, although they are not giving us cash of $3,156,000, they are giving us a spending authority, and the cash does come through somewhat in the levy that we produce and in some state aid as well.
Okay, but it's primarily just permission to spend. the
It's
$3 million.
permission to spend money for dropout prevention and at-risk services.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion or questions? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
And I opened up online voting, if you want to vote that way. Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Mr. Arthur?
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
And Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, the motion carries. Now we have a request for SBRC spending authority for additional funds for statewide voluntary preschool. Is there a motion?
I can move to approve as a part of the district's response to the impact COVID-19 pandemic, the CFO as authorized to submit a request for the school budget review committee for funding related to the fiscal year 2022 statewide voluntary preschool program increase enrollment in the amount of $213,196.50 as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
And Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, the motion carries. Next up is request for SBRC SSA for special education student attending, for a student attending Woodward Granger. Is there a motion?
I move that the board request SSA approval from the SBRC in the amount of $2,647.90 for a special education student attending the Woodward Granger School District.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? For the record, SSA stands for State Supplemental Aid.
Supplemental allowance, it's
Allowance.
spending authority again. And this is for administrative costs that are incurred by Woodward Granger. We get a portion of that as spending authority because of our one student going there.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
And Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, the motion has been approved. Now is request for SBRC spending authority for special education administrative costs. Is there a motion?
I move to request supplemental spending authority from the SBRC in the amount of $61,808.88 for special education administrative cost.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
And any discussion? Our notes indicate that part of this request includes a portion of the salary for the administrator that oversees special education services.
Do people know that we do provide oversight for Heartland and Children's Park? I know we know that, but is that something that should be shared at all?
I think you just did. Thank you, Troy. Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Shudak?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
And Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, the motion carries. Next up is approval of revisions to the employee handbook. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the employee handbook revisions for the remaining 2021-2022 school year as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just for the public, looking through, the document that was provided, a lot of it has to do updating new board members' names. SEIU is no longer a collective bargaining unit, so removing that information from the handbook. Increase of some pay rates. That's the big things that I saw within the changes that are being asked.
On the pay rates, it's for additional duties that they do outside of their normal contract day.
Yes, yep, so thank you, Dr. Morello. So yeah, so the pay changes are for those functions that are performed outside their normal contract day. So writing curriculum, participating in self-development, covering classes, things of that nature.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Kazire.
Yes.
Ms. Shudek.
Yes.
Mr. Arthur.
Yes.
Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
And Mr. LaFurla.
Yes, the motion carries. Next is approval of an agreement with BVH Architects for the Abraham Lincoln High School auditorium and lobby projects. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the agreement with BVH Architects for services regarding the Abraham Lincoln High School auditorium and lobby projects in the amount of $98,200.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Can we just talk, I mean, right now contractors are so far behind with inflation, things of that nature. How comfortable are we? I mean, how much of a cushion do we have built into this dollar amount? So hopefully if we do have to come back for a change order, it's not, astronomical.
This is just for the architectural services.
Okay, so
This
that-
has no construction in.
Okay, so with that, then we shouldn't see an inflation
Correct.
change or anything like that. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions?
So is there a general, like a scope of this that we're trying to address based on the current facility?
Yes, this is for the auditorium and for the hallway and the area outside of the auditorium to really renovate and kind of give a facelift to that. We had a presentation on that 2 board meetings ago.
Public hearing?
A
Was
public
it a public
hearing.
hearing?
Yes, a public hearing. So, Mr. Arthur, if you want, I can forward that to you, if you'd like to see that again.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I think I was unfortunately away,
Yes,
so
okay.
I guess I remember part of it.
Okay. Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Mr. Kazire.
Yes.
Mr. Arthur.
Yes.
Ms. Shudek.
Yes.
Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla.
Yes, and the motion carries. Next up is approval of a change order for the Abraham Lincoln High School outdoor classroom door. Is there?
No, we got one before that, Chris.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Sorry about that. Approval of construction bid for the Abraham Lincoln High School, no, wait.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Approval of the construction bid for the Abraham Lincoln High School outdoor classroom project. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approve the bid from Bluffs Paving of Council Bluffs, Iowa, in the amount of $139,899.05 for the Abraham Lincoln High School outdoor classroom project.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item or questions?
Did we receive multiple bids? Normally it lists, we did?
Yeah, we received 2, Carly Construction and Bluffs Paving.
Okay.
One was 153,000 and some change, and the other one that we accepted was 139 and change.
Okay. Thank you.
And this is being paid through ESSER.
Yes, this is ESSER dollars.
And the district has worked with Bluffs Paving in the past, so we have a relationship with.
Quite a few projects, I think, yeah.
And it's ESSER dollars, so prevailing wages.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Kazire.
Yes.
Mr. Peters.
Yes.
Ms. Myers.
Yes.
Ms. Shudek.
Yes.
Mr. Arthur. Mr. LaFurla.
Yes, the motion carries. And now we have approval of a change order for the Abraham Lincoln High School outdoor classroom door. Is there a motion?
I move to approve a change order in the amount of $54,686.65 from Anderson Construction to install a door for the outdoor classroom project.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions on this item?
Yeah, maybe just for the public, the change order, we're moving the location of the door.
Yes, what we found in the original plan of where we were going to create the door to the exterior, it was going to have a significant cost to it because of how thick the wall was and going through the concrete and the steel bars there. So we're shifting that around, which will be a cost savings of about a little over $10,000 of moving it now on the inside where the glass windows are. So that's where we'll place the new door.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Ms. Shudek?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, and the motion carries. Next, we have approval to rename Dexter Bloomer Elementary School to Amelia and Dexter Bloomer Elementary School. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the renaming of Dexter Bloomer Elementary School to Amelia and Dexter Bloomer Elementary School as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions?
Not any discussion, but as a female who sits on the board, I'm pleased to see a building named after Amelia. I agree with all the comments made earlier, and she had a great contribution to our community, and I think this is fantastic.
I think I'd also like to thank all of those that served on the renaming committee, Ben Johnson and Linda Cannell, who we heard from earlier, Dr. Richard Warner, Ray DeWally and Amy Yoakum, Rex Rector, Kim Kazmierczak, and Diana Ostrowski. So thank you for your time and service on that project. Mr. Wilson, please.
I have to agree with the speaker earlier when they said that many people probably thought Amelia was the namesake for that. And I remember that from last year when we approved the little marker for her. Would have just assumed she was the bloomer in question there. So
Yep, I did too. I did too. Thank you. Any other discussion? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Ms. Shudek?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, the motion has been approved. Our last resolution is approval of Communication Workers of America, CWA contract. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the agreement between the Communication Workers of America, the CWA, and the Board of Education as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions?
Pretty
I
smooth.
think, I would say that I think this contract does show commitment from the district to really honor those people who work for us at a time when, other expenses and things are going through the roof, and there's, we're certainly trying to maintain our people, but also to help them provide a living for their families, and this was probably long overdue here as well.
Any other
Very good.
discussion?
Yeah. I also would like to take a minute and thank Mr. Milborn and Miss Emily Warren, I think, came in for their work that they did on the negotiations. It was very smooth, very quick, and I just appreciate your leadership. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you. Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Ms. Shudek?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, and the contract has been approved. Now we have approval of the consent agenda, which includes acknowledgement and acceptance of a donation of welding supplies from the Tractor Supply Company of Council Bluffs, Iowa, and acknowledge and accept donation of $100,000 for the Early Learning Center from Dr. Baruz Rasek and his wife, I'm assuming. Agreement with Collaborative Consulting Services, approval of special education contracts for students placed outside of our district, personnel action, and claims and accounts. Is there a motion?
I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Dave. Any discussion?
I'd just like to say thank you to Dr. and Mrs. Rozek. That's a fantastic and very generous to our community, and will be used for something that will really, really benefit our community. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and they have been very supportive of our district and very generous, and this is obviously a partnership that we value very, very much and appreciate everything that they do for our children is really who they're looking to serve, so. Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Arthur?
Yes.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Ms. Shudek?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, the motion carries. And now is I would entertain a resolution to move into closed session. Is there a motion?
As afforded in Iowa Code 21.5, Parent 1, Parent C, be it resolved that the Board of Directors for the Council Bluffs Community School District will enter into a closed session to discuss legal strategy with legal counsel in matters presently in litigation or where litigation is imminent, if the disclosure would likely to prejudice or disadvantage the board.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion or questions? Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Kazire?
Yes.
Ms. Shudek?
Yes.
Mr. Arthur? Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. LaFurla?
Yes, and the motion carries, and we will take our closed session into the conference room.